Well, a little security for New Mexico State as the WAC expands yesterday. Lobos are going to play at UNLV this weekend. Lobo ladies will as well. What about next weekend? Not so much. We are ready for an NFL weekend that should be really, really good, highlighted by that final game featuring two legends at quarterback, Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Happy Friday. What is up, y'all? It should be a really good day. Opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah's producing on the radio side. Josh, again, on the TV side at ProView Networks. What's good, man? You living?
What it do, everyone?
Does quite a bit, actually. Jeff Hurd's going to be with us coming up at 9 o'clock, I believe. It's in the 9 o'clock hour, I believe, at 9. He's the commissioner of the WAC. Longtime commissioner. Before that was the deputy commissioner with Carl Benson. So he's seen all kinds of membership change in the Western Athletic Conference over the years, from when BYU and New Mexico and Utah were in it, and then the addition and the Rice and that Rice and TCU and that whole quadrant situation. He was there and been there all the way since. And yesterday, JJ, the WAC announced formally Lamar, Stephen F. Austin, Abilene Christian, Southern Utah, Sam Houston will all join, and they are going to form a football league. Mario Mocha had a little press conference afterwards, which I jumped in on, and the football league will be an FCS league. That means one division below where the Lobos and Aggies play. And while nobody stated, JJ, emphatically, and we'll talk to Jeff a little bit more specifically about that. I'm sure he's expecting it. It feels like there's an eye on being FBS within X number of years. I can't give you an exact that there's a plan to jump and do this. I tell you what the WAC expansion does for New Mexico State. It gives them stability for the first time in a long time in their league in everything but football. For the first time, we're not sitting here and worrying, well, is the WAC going to make it? Chicago State's falling apart, and UMKC, and their Bakersfield just left, and somebody else left, and who's this? For the first time in a long time, I think the league's got stability for basketball, for baseball, for volleyball, for all their non-football sports. And I don't think that can be discounted at this point.
It's a very important thing for everyone that's in the WAC. And yes, no one yesterday would comment on FBS football. Mario was kind of just dancing around it. He got a lot of questions about it on his portion of the Zoom press conference you all jumped on. But it's one that if you take a step back, you go, why did those teams leave the Southland if there's not something else bubbling? Like, if that's not ultimately the plan for football? Because it seemed like for FCS football, for basketball, their sports, the Southland was fine. Like, it was, the schools were getting what they needed out of said conference. So it feels like, while no one would publicly comment on it and say, yes, that is indeed the plan, that there has to be something else to this move other than let's just go play FCS football over here in the WAC.
It feels that way. And the WAC, so then why go to the WAC and why not, just do that in the Southland? First of all, you would take the like-minded schools, the schools in your league that are thinking about FBS. And then I think the other piece of it is the WAC, it has an easier path to getting to FBS because they've been there, and so they just have to reestablish. And I don't know exactly what the paperwork is, what the process is. We'll talk to Jeff a little bit about it, but it would be as opposed to just restarting it as if the Southland, the Big Sky, wanted to jump up. The process would be much different. So I think there's that. There's talk of adding another school. They're at, 11 now, JJ, I think. Is that right? 11? They're at an odd number. No, it's at 13, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? And 6 Texas schools. And there's talk of UTRGV. In fact, there was a tweet out yesterday from a writer that said UTRGV is going to start football. And I know Jeff was asked about that a lot yesterday. Didn't want to get into that. So we'll talk with the WAC commissioner coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. But for Aggie fan, I think this is good. You brought in some good basketball programs. I think Stephen F. Austin has been very, very strong. You brought in markets, and what the WAC's intent now would be to have a Texas division, which would be their Southwest division, and then a Western division, which would be everybody else. So the Aggies will be in a division with Grand Canyon. It would be New Mexico State and Grand Canyon, along with Cal Baptist, Utah Valley, Seattle, Southern Utah, and am I forgetting one? I might be forgetting one. But that's where they are right now. And you may want to go somewhere else. You may not. All I'm telling you is that's great news for New Mexico State, because there was no stability in the WAC the way it was. There was none. And I give Jeff Hurd and the leadership of that conference a whole lot of credit for keeping this thing together, because as much as the WAC's got a soft spot in my heart. I went to a WAC school. I covered I watched the WAC since I was in college. I covered the WAC. The WAC was part of the New Mexico Bowl when we started. There was a minute there where I thought, man, this league may not make it. And I think you thought the same thing.
That WAC. It wasn't the WAC everyone knew. And absolutely, when you look at what we've seen happen, the schools that left the Western Athletic Conference, and you're sitting there going, okay, you brought a couple in, but Dixie State, Tarleton State, that's keeps you going, but you're far from feeling confident that, okay, the competitiveness of this league is going to start taking a step up. And that was part of this move. Stephen F. Austin's been an NCAA tournament team on the men's basketball side. You look at the other programs, that the investments that they're putting into their situation right now at FCS level football, that's only going to grow if there is indeed the idea of playing FBS football. Mario mentioned it yesterday. He's looking around. He's like, these guys showed up. Like, there's a lot of press around this moment with those other schools. And it's always difficult, man, when you think you're jumping into a big market, but you're a small fish and the big pond, just how much is it going to resonate? Well, football resonates in Texas. And I think that's a big thing with the WAC, is having that Texas presence, that Texas division, essentially to start building and make this move with football.
I think all of that's right. All right, the school I forgot was Dixie State. So the league, the divisions would be the Texas schools, which would be Sam Houston and Lamar, and Abilene Christian, Stephen F. Austin, UTRGV, all of the Texas schools. There's 6 of them in the Texas division. And then it would be, in the other division, it would be Seattle, New Mexico State, Grand Canyon, Dixie State, Cal Baptist, Southern Utah, and Utah Valley. So it's where you are. I think ideally what they'd like to do is put a team in the Southwest footprint, another Texas school. For whatever reason, and nobody said this to me, Incarnate Word just keeps jumping to me. Because they play football, because they're in San Antonio, because they're in Texas, because they feel like they fit their footprint. The other thing the WAC, they kept saying yesterday, and I guess this is a big thing. So the WAC will now have more Division I Texas schools in their league than any other league. And I guess that's a big deal. Certainly in Texas it is. More Texas schools than the Big 12 has. Now, and Jeff made this very clear. He says, we have no delusions that we're going to take away from the Big 12 and from Texas and Texas A&M and any of those schools. It's just, he said it was pointed out to him. He said that wasn't by design. They did want to be in that footprint. They did want to be in Texas, but it wasn't by design to have the biggest numbers. I don't know if that means anything to you. Honestly, to me, it doesn't, because it's not like you have the biggest brands in Texas. You have schools in Texas, and I think that's great. And we've talked about what that means for recruiting, and I think everybody realizes how important that is. But again, Aggie fan, we'd love to hear from you. 505-246-0610 or 888-922-0610. What does this mean for you? And again, the football piece is still up in the air for New Mexico State, but everything else, I feel if you need it to be solidified, if you need, to me, JJ, again, this doesn't mean if the Mountain West came calling. Let's just say some crazy stuff happened, and I don't know if it's that crazy at this point, that San Diego State, Boise State, and somebody else left the Mountain West, and the Mountain West was looking to expand, and they did send out an invitation to New Mexico State. I think New Mexico State would jump at it, obviously. But I think without something like that coming, I think this finally gives them some stability for the rest of their athletic department.
They were wobbly, just kind of standing on one foot, and at least you're sitting there 2 feet on the ground, moving forward with a solid plan with multiple sports, both football and basketball. I'm intrigued to see what happens with basketball moving forward, what level of competitiveness those other schools bring, and how the new schools keep growing in the WAC.
Yeah, an Aggie fan, how do you feel about just against whom you're going to be playing? And I was asking Mario this yesterday. JJ, I'm not even sure what the answer is. If you had to be, because you're going to be right on the cusp, right? If they add a school out west, like if the 14th school is a California school, then that would put New Mexico State into that Texas division, I would assume, right? Geographically, it just makes sense. And if they add a Texas school, then it keeps it. Would you rather make sure Grand Canyon is one of your rivals, or would you rather be in a division with all those Texas schools?
I think basketball-wise, you want to play Grand Canyon because it's the one thing over the last few years that seems to at least generate some buzz. But it's also, there's a lot of new, and you're kind of starting over, having to grow something. So I think Mario's answer to the question kind of says it. He's like, don't really have a great feeling one way or the other right now. You'd like to definitely continue playing Grand Canyon because it feels like there's something there. But other than that, I really don't think it matters. Yeah,
so you would play, in your division, it would be Grand Canyon, and it would be Seattle. And I think there's something with Utah Valley, too. I mean, whatever that means to you. Utah Valley. Cal Baptist, whether you realize it or not, has put together a nice little program over there in Riverside. And then who else would be in your division? It would be Southern Utah, which I actually don't know much about what they've got going in Dixie State, which we saw the other night against the Lobos. So that's where you are. But Aggie fan, want to hear from you today. We're going to get into the NFL. There's NFL coaching news coming left and right now. If you missed some news last night, the Jets have a coach. We'll let you know who that is. Certainly, I think you know who the Jaguars coach is. But when we come back, we'll get into the NFL coaching carousel, which is starting to slow down a bit, and people are finding a little spot on a horse. It's the opening drive on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down. ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh! Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Duma Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
And it's good.
Oh my God!
On a last-second shot.
He did.
By
Oh
Malik
my
Martin.
God!
Banks it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double-teamed and somehow found a way to get it in.
Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
One thing is constant. These Sports Animals, your home for the National Football League. We've got games for you all weekend and big playoff games starting on Saturday. The early game, which early means about 2:30 start. Rams and Packers in Green Bay. It'll be cold. They're expecting snow. John Wolford's out, JJ. I mean, so the Rams will have to start Jared Goff against Aaron Rodgers. The night game, it'll be cold in Buffalo. Let's see how Lamar Jackson is able to handle that. Baltimore, Buffalo. And then on Sunday, 1 o'clock, Cleveland and Kansas City. And the late game, which is a 4:40 start, Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Opening drive, Jeff, JJ, and Micah. Big news in the National Football League continues to pour in. We'll get into Urban Meyer because I think you probably heard about that. Maybe you hadn't. Yesterday evening, the New York Jets hired Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of formerly of the San Francisco 49ers. And when Sean asked me that yesterday, JJ, I said, gosh, I hope they do. Just as a Rams fan, to get him out of the division because he's been terrific. It feels like he has got everything that it takes for a young coordinator to make that jump to the first time head coach.
Yeah, and a lot of these situations, like I come out and I've been on the other side the last couple of days in the Urban Meyer situation, but you truly just never know. You could think you have the best candidate, the hot coaching game, and it doesn't work out because there's so much more that goes into that. You know, how many people that you have to bring in, the system that you want to run, establishing that, meshing with personnel. Like, there's a lot of work to be done. But the name on the marquee is head coach and quarterback when it's all said and done. When we're looking at these franchises, and I have no reason to look at Robert Saleh and say, oh, that's a bad move for the Jets in this regard, with the track record that he has with the 49ers defense, being able to, it feels like, bring some stability, at least for the time being, to the Jets. You know, Adam Gase stuff just really got messy, and he started butting heads with a lot of players. And that was an issue. It's one thing to move on from players, acquire draft picks, but when you go in there and Jamal Adams, Le'Veon Bell, at least at that point in time, where probably the two best players on either side of the football, and you immediately find a way to have a beef with them and get them off the roster. Yeah, there was a lot of issues there. So I don't think that's something we're going to see with Robert Saleh coming in this. He's got a very intriguing situation because they're sitting there at 2, and I think most of us believe in this conversation that they're going to stay with Sam Darnold. So what's the next step? There's not necessarily a premier pass rusher that jumps out to me in this draft, because that's usually what I'm looking for in those top 5 picks. It's, do we need a quarterback, or who's the best front 7 player or offensive lineman available? And does it turn into, well, they drafted a left tackle last year, maybe they feel pretty good. Do they want to take a Devontae Smith? So it's a really intriguing position overall, with where you come in you think you have a quarterback that's pretty good, but you really only have 2 years to find out before you're going to have to pay him. But overall, I think it was a good hire by the Jets.
I like it a lot. He's going to take Mike LaFleur with him, who is the brother of Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. Mike was the passing game coordinator with San Francisco. He will be the offensive coordinator with the Jets, and that's the guy who's going to work really closely with presumably Sam Darnold. If this means something to you, and I think it should, or maybe it shouldn't, I don't know, but it does. He will become the fourth minority head coach in the league. Brian Flores and Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera, and Salah is Lebanese American, which so whatever that means to you, but certainly that's been an initiative, and understandably so, in regards to the hiring process. So I guess, so how does this work? The 49ers received 2 third-round compensatory picks in the hiring initiative because they're the ones who gave him the coordinator chance and he became a head coach, not the Jets. Is that how that works? Is that how so you don't understand it much better than I do? All right, that's fair enough. So bottom line is Salah appears to be a guy that players love to play for, which is the opposite of what Adam Gase was. And to your point on never knowing, JJ, it's like a marriage. Nobody gets married to get divorced. Nobody hires a coach to go 9-23 and fire a coach, right? I mean, everybody, you get into every one of these relationships with the best intentions that they're going to last forever. And then things happen throughout the relationship with Adam Gase or with your ex, and you grow apart. And so whatever happens. So you're right. You don't ever know. There is, like whoever, when the Patriots hired Bill Belichick 2 decades ago, a guy who didn't have a great run with the Cleveland Browns, whoever knew that this thing was going to be 2 decades later a dynasty? So you don't. You do your due diligence, you do your homework, you figure out what's best, you make the best choice. It's like anything else, right? We all make choices and there's consequences. So this feels right to me. Now, I don't know if it feels right in New York. Again, it's got to be the right personality for that market. There was a lot of chatter about him going to Detroit because he's from that area. But the Jets got at him first. So I'm down with it. Urban Meyer, do you still feel the same way on the Urban Meyer thing? Urban Meyer got hired by Jacksonville yesterday. I think it works. I think it's a home run for them. I don't know that there was something better there. It may or may not work again, but it feels like this is a big hit for them.
I still feel the same way on Urban Meyer.
Okay.
I think you're right. It's showing up, winning the press conference, swinging for the fences. Why not? But I'm betting on what we've seen before, like the track record of big-time college coaches making that jump, and it just hasn't worked out. I just don't see it working out. And the Jaguars are, they have so much potential, but it's also time. How is Urban Meyer going to handle a roster that's probably not going to win a lot of games next year? But for me, in this situation, you're starting off with Trevor Lawrence. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. Cap space is nice, but you also have to present something to get players to sign. We always talk about money and opportunity in the league as opposed to necessarily a brand or coming for something. Yeah, if you're Jacksonville, why the heck not sign Urban Meyer at this point in time? It's flashy. It feels like you're half of London's team anyway at times, so maybe you're bringing something that people can focus in and hone in on. I'm just looking at the track record of coaches that have done that, and it's not great.
Yep, Jimmy Johnson worked. Pete Carroll worked. There's a litany of guys who didn't. I think the book's still out on guys who are in the league right now with Matt Rule and Cliff Kingsbury, and I don't think you can say it worked with Bill O'Brien. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I think Urban Meyer's different. I do. I think there's a different aura about Urban Meyer. The only other guy, and you know what? Honestly, there isn't another guy who came up since John McKay with this pedigree. And John McKay failed when he went from USC to Tampa Bay back when they were an expansion team back in the 70s. When Nick Saban he didn't have the aura that Nick Saban has now. He just didn't. He didn't have the pedigree. He had won once, but it wasn't multiple like Urban Meyer has. There's something different about Urban Meyer that I think demands respect. The track record is there, and the other thing is, to me, and I was asked yesterday on TJ's show. He says, Brandon asked me, the Cowboys went down this road when they were trying to hire last year, and he wasn't ready. He didn't go to the Cowboys. Well, he wants the power, and I think he knew with Dallas, Jerry was going to have all the power, and he was going to make decisions. And I think Shad Khan's given him that opportunity. While his title is head coach, I don't think there's any question who's going to make the decisions.
That's something to watch out for, because then it would be a 180 from what Shad Khan said a couple months ago about having roster control. My question to you is, does that aura matter in the NFL?
Does it matter? I think it demands respect initially. Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. It's after a couple of months, does it wash off? Yeah, it's what have you done for me? How are you treating me? But yeah, I think it does initially. Yeah.
Because when you look at Matt Rule and Cliff Kingsbury, Rule had pretty much rebuilt Baylor. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't coming in like this. Wow, Matt Rule is the dude we have to have. It was that's a good football coach. Oh, that's interesting. Cliff Kingsbury was just all about the offense. So it's not necessarily they're not coming in with that same level of look at my resume. Urban Meyer has that. He's like, look at what I've done. But I really wonder if when it gets to the point of you're in those meetings day in and day out, you're putting that football team together. If it matters for the players as opposed to like all of us looking at the situation.
I think initially it does, but what those two guys have proven, and while that book is not complete, neither book on Matt Rule or Cliff Kingsbury, I think you and I, and certainly with Cliff Kingsbury, because we saw the improvement. Now they faltered down the stretch, and is that on him? We could have another conversation on that. But it feels like he has earned their respect. And Cliff Kingsbury came in kind of with the opposite. Like, it was you're hiring this guy, a guy who had a losing record and just got fired at Texas Tech and had to earn everybody's respect. It feels like he did. And what that shows me is, it's great. But once you get in the door, once you get in that complex, how are you treating those grown-ass men, right? How are you earning their respect? How are you leading men? When you think so many of these guys are in the league are so young, just a few years out of college, and so many have left so early. The Urban Meyer thing, to me, initially, when you go into the room, is going to have something. But again, that washes off within a few weeks or a few months. How are you treating me? Who are you? How do you run your coaches? Do you respect me? Do you win? Do we respond? Because I think it works both ways. What we're watching, to your point, I think it's a really good one with Matt Rule, who. Okay. I mean, he came in with a nice reputation, but not Urban Meyer. Cliff Kingsbury, to me, was the opposite. And both those guys feel like they've been accepted in the National Football League. So I just, to me, the long way of saying there is no blueprint.
Yeah, there's not. And I think a lot of it, too, is how Urban Meyer handles himself. If he comes in thinking, oh, here I am to save the day, it's probably not going to go over too well because, like you said, you got to build the respect, man. You're still all there to do a job, but if you're not bought in, kind of like what we're seeing happen maybe with the team in Brooklyn, then it doesn't matter who you are or what your track record is. You got to be all in to get it done.
All right. When we come back, the Falcons have offered their job as well. I'll tell you who it's been offered to. I don't know that it's been accepted yet. We'll get into the games. And the story that's in the paper about United is igniting people. United being able to practice, but nobody else. And going forward, I got emails and texts already coming in. People not very happy about the double standard. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Clark's Pet Emporium is committed to your safety with curbside pickup and free delivery.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Let's see if Melfi can cash it in. He's got
some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy. It's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
Going to hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles. Look out. Chavez up the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Volcanovic.
That replay. I got you. Measurement. I mean, Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. Dance into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
He'll run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. And looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
Let's throw it. Looking. Here comes the rush. Stepping up. Javier now running around. Being chased. Looks across. Throws it up and wide open. Ball
The air with
caught.
the pregame show. Tip-off at 3. Lobos in Vegas to take on the Lady Rebels. Back at it for the first time in, what, about a year, JJ? I mean, it feels like forever, and they're not playing.
It feels like forever.
What was the last
January
game?
2nd was the last time the women played, and 2 weeks is not too bad.
All right. Well, maybe another 2.
It might be a while after it as well.
Yeah, San Jose State yesterday announced that they're canceling the rest of their season for women's basketball because of what's going on. So, and that was next up on the Lady Lobos schedule. So, it makes for everybody who's played San Jose State is going to. I mean, obviously, it's going to be an odd-looking standings, or well, we still call it standings in basketball, right? At the end of the year, I would guess UNM is going to try to find a game for next week. Do we know where they are going to base out of next week? Are they coming home? Do we know what that's all about?
Not yet.
All right. But they'll play 2 in Vegas, so JJ will have the game. And then tomorrow, the Lobo men, right, tomorrow? Saturday, Monday, over on News Radio KKOB. I want to finish up on this thought, and then we'll jump it because you guys are hitting me with this a lot, and people are pissed. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator of the Titans, has been offered the head coaching job for the Atlanta Falcons. I haven't seen anywhere. I've seen reports that it's been offered. I haven't seen that he has taken it. Have you? Is that everything you see?
Not yet.
Okay. So 3 positions are close to being filled. Well, 2 were filled, and another one seems close to being filled. All right. There's a story, and Gramber wrote the story in the paper today about how there's an exception in the June 6th revision of the COVID-safe practices. Evidently, for professional sports, the word practices was taken out of the restrictions. So it looks pretty clear where United is going to be able to practice at will, but not UNM, not New Mexico State, not high school sports. And people, JJ, not a surprise. Peter evidently came out with a statement yesterday. Peter Trevisani, the owner of, or I don't know if he came out with a statement. He gave a statement to the paper. We look forward to watching New Mexicans play in 2020. It's nice of him to come out now that his season's getting close. So yeah, we'd love to see everybody else, but we're glad we're able to play. Started out with I got a text from Larry. Just read United's been able to get into health order. The professional teams can practice. Such complete BS because college, high school, and youth still can't. It's plain as day. It's who you know or who you're in good with. I got an email from Dan. United continue to divide. Jeffrey, Juan Jose, and Micah John. If I see the commercial, wear a mask, stay at home, and stay safe again, I'm going to lose my mind. This coming from a club that played out of state to circumvent public health orders, and now they apparently found a way to practice in New Mexico when not a single other squad has been able to do that without getting shut down. Give me a flippin' break. Carl says 5 phases of NMAA individual workouts, and he says, Jeff, listen to that press conference yesterday. Did the governor give you any hope of advancing beyond stage 1 on Tuesday unless you're the dividers? Teams like La Cueva and Academy might be able to bubble up somewhere out of state, but if you're poor like West Mesa and Rio Grande, was the kibosh just put on your season? JJ, like, we're gonna have, this is gonna be a conversation, and I don't think United care because they get to play, and they're gonna say no. We're doing what we can do, and we want everybody to play. We're united, and we would, but obviously we've got 2 sets of rules, and I'm really struggling with the semantics on the professional versus college stuff.
I'm at a loss for it at this point in time. I don't know. Like, so this is just more of the same. This is what United was doing last year. Now, if United ends up playing home games this year, it's going to be a very rough situation in the sports community because you have your ardent United fans and fans of everyone else, and you want to talk about uniting, it's going to be the last thing that's going to happen in any of these fan bases and the conversations that are going to happen. I don't understand how there's zero movement, at least on the collegiate side. At all in this situation. I don't.
I am at least letting them practice at home. Like at least letting them practice at home. Where UNM and New Mexico State should be able to practice at home. I believe the United are going to play home games. Maybe not to start the season. JJ, you said there's not a schedule out. I mean, the season would typically start in March, which is we're coming up quickly. I think we're gonna progress to the point where they're not going to go a whole season without playing home games. Now they may not start with fans, but I think we're going to progress that way. I just think that's optimistically, I think that's where we're all as a society going to progress. It sounds like there's no chance. I mean, just listen to that. Like the high school kids are going, wait a minute, I can't practice, I can't run a cross country meet, I can't play a golf tournament, but they can because they're professionals. Like the high school parents are losing their mind, and I know. I don't disagree with you when you tell me that there's an ardent base, a passionate base for United. I will tell you that I believe it to be a much bigger group of people who are Lobo and Aggie fans and high school sports supporters, and is fervent, if that's a word. It probably isn't. Loyal, passionate as United, and certainly vocal. I still think it to be a smaller, 10,000-ish base of people, 8,000 hardcore, and there's a lot more Lobo fans who are just really angry. And this isn't a number game. This isn't you should and they shouldn't. This is they all should, right? And this is what I've been telling you from the beginning. I'm not mad at United. I think people are mad at the double standard, and people are angry because Peter is on that council. Peter obviously has had say in setting the rules. And we just went through his whole off season where nobody else can play, and now we're getting back into where we got to set it up for my team again, and all of a sudden there he is, there they are. Well, we hope everybody can play, but we can, and I think it's really, 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 and it's rubbing people wrong, and because of what UNM and NMSU have had to go through, this is not going to play well.
And this. When you start looking at the statements and going back to the decisions, about one's a sports team, the other exists on a college campus. Well, I also see these college campuses, for the most part, a lot of them don't have students on it. So you can't keep using that as, well, we can't have these players play because what if they infect their fellow students? Well, that's not happening, and they're still in this controlled environment where they're being tested 3 times a week and I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm at that point with you, with everyone else, that there was no movement on this. Like, they're still going back to what they said initially last year when we've gotten to this point. It's not easy. Like, you've said it many times when we're having this discussion. Like, moving forward, you understand the risks, and it's not like that things aren't going to happen, but you're still doing it in a controlled environment. When we're specifically talking about collegiate athletics, the amount of testing that's going on. Yes, you lose games, but let's look at the numbers overall as well, and how football season is going, how basketball season is going, and just the health and safety of these student athletes, and yet you're still using the same talking points from last year.
Look, and the vagueness of the response, because here we are at that point in the calendar, where you're either going to let the high school kids play or you're not. And honestly, my gut tells me they have made their decision. I feel that the governor is basically told Sally Marcus no, and I think they're stringing the kids along right now, and they're going to just clip. We're talking about hybrid models. Addie may even get to go on campus in February, which is like, oh my goodness, like how cool is this? February 22nd, there may be a hybrid model, but the vagueness in the statement, quote, I'm optimistic that many things, not all things, many things are really right around the corner, end quote. Like that is, can you be more vague? Many things, but not all things. What does that mean? Right around the corner is when? Is that next summer? Like the vagueness in the response from the governor. And you can tell me, look, they don't know, and I'm not yelling it should be one thing or the other, although I certainly have a feeling about it, and you know what it is. But I just think we're at this point, and you're telling me, yeah, nobody else can do it except for those guys who are kicking the ball around up on the mesa. It's just, and oh, by the way, 2 of their owners are on my Economic Recovery Council, which was influential in making these rules. I mean, are we all just idiots?
No. It's like I said, it's you're smash your head against the wall, and it's too when it comes down to the high school sports. I wonder too what the information has been like, because I'm sure, because I've seen it on social media. I know these coaches are looking at these other states and following what's going on and talking with their colleagues as well, as saying, how's it working for you? How are the kids responding? What is, how's your team been? If you had outbreaks, etc. Seeing, sports working with the rules in place and saying, well, let's bring this to the table, and to just have zero movement and just going back to the same stuff, just using the same things from last year. It's incredibly frustrating when you're looking forward at the same thing.
And nobody seems to care, right? And I get it. They got a lot going on. I totally understand it. And they got a lot of people, by the way. But nobody wants to deal with this in a forward-looking manner. And I feel for Mario and Eddie, because they've got student athletes who came here to play, came here to go to school and play, and could transfer to other schools in any other state in the union and play their sport. And they want to be here. And here we are basically a week away from that deadline for these college athletes, whether it's softball or baseball or they canceled swimming and diving the other day, right? All of the, and everybody else is going. Somehow they can do it, and we're the smartest ones. And again, I said this the other day, and please, I'm not yelling, I'm not screaming. If our numbers were so much better than everybody else's, I'd go, yeah, look at that, it's working. Yeah, I'm down. And I respect this virus, and I have lost people dear to me. And I'm not yelling, go out, open up. But there's obviously a way to do this. And you're telling me it's okay for that professional, that soccer team, who they give me money and they're on my council. They can play, but everybody else can't. And you're gonna have to find a different way to do it. It's just, you guys, if you're Eddie and Mario, try to run athletic departments and lead student athletes who are telling you, why are they doing it everywhere else? And you can't get answers. And it sounds like this clause was a surprise to both of them. They figured, well, yeah, United's going to have to comply with everything else. And nope, somehow they're different. They get an exemption. I'm I'm at the end. Like you got a really good athletic director here. If I'm him, I mean, would you blame him if he took a gig somewhere else where he could actually go do his job?
No, I think it would be unfortunate if that
hugely unfortunate.
It'd be really frustrated too if you're the University of New Mexico, but look at people making decisions now, whether it's the student athletes or others in that athletic department about what's going to happen moving forward. And as we can continue have to talk about it, this isn't a blanket conversation. This is specifically looking at this issue. And when you say, all right, you're not worried about United playing because you call them professionals, but yet look at the protocol in place, what they're asking these student athletes to do, how many times these student athletes are being tested, and you're saying somehow that's not safe to do at this point in time.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to the phones because I know you got a lot to say. 505-246-0610 when we come back on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Touchdown, Siembieda. Dropping, looking, stepping up. He's going to run. He's got a lot of green in front of him. To the end zone. Touchdown. Rio Rancho, Isaiah Chavez. Chavez set. He's going to run with it again and dives and...
It's Austin Smith, and to the outside, a lot of room. Look out, a foot race down the sideline. All the way on the first play from scrimmage, Chris. That's a touchdown.
Scrambling. And great hit. He bounces off outside. Got some daylight at the 20, the 10, the 5. What an incredible run.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Shoot a shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long three.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go. His
Fork driving kick. Three's in the air. It's good.
Nice pass on the nice block by Hernandez Cropper.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalan's going to go and he puts it away. And Corbalan wants to put it down. Here comes Las Cruces. Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transition. 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan. Jeremy Segura.
Over dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass, wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3 ball.
All weekend for you here on these Sports Animals. Starts on Saturday, NFC divisional round, Rams and Packers, followed by the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills in the AFC. 2 games on Sunday, Cleveland, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay, New Orleans. All in your home for the National Football League, 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Not going to have both games on Sunday.
We don't?
Sorry.
Oh, you got basketball. Wow, Lady Lobos. All right, so what is our schedule on Sunday? We got what time's Lady Lobo basketball?
So Lady Lobos basketball is going to be 2:30, and then we're going to join in progress the NFL Bucks at Saints.
Okay, all right, there you go. And you got Lady Lobos tonight as well, or this afternoon, 2:30 pregame start with JJ. And it'll be Lady Lobos and UNLV. All right, let's go to the phones. We're having a conversation about, again, who can play, what can play, who can practice, who can't. And I think it's pretty simple. If you're United, you can practice. And if you're anybody else, you can't. And that's where we are. Rudy, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. How you living?
Well, I'm living pretty good. I'm still alive. I'm, above ground. So that's an accomplishment these days.
Yeah, I think so.
The whole curious thing about this is how they keep justifying allowing United. And, United is going to draw some ire from people in this state when they see the unfairness of this. Now, I'm not saying that Pete did this on purpose, but apparently he has the governor's ear when no other people do. And to slip exemptions in for professional sports and to ignore the colleges and universities is really just, and so I want to say it this way. I think Jeff Grammer has done everybody a huge service. And I think Jeff finally had the guts to confront this. And I really appreciate that because this is exactly how journalists are supposed to work.
It's a good story, and it's got a lot of meat in there, and a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and evidently Eddie Nunez and Mario Mocha didn't know.
No, and so how does that work? That you come in and promise a transparent administration, but it's not transparent at all. That you promise fairness to everybody and you're going to support small business, but you don't do that at all. And I don't know where the hypocrisy comes from or where it's going to end, but frankly, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I understand COVID. I understand COVID better than anybody. But the people that understand it know that if I'm at risk, then I have to protect myself. Asking somebody else to protect me is the wrong message. And some of the people that I've heard this week and some of the things that you've read makes me wonder about these people and if they think that they're supposed to be carried through life and they're supposed to be protected from everything. Life is a risk. When I get in my car this morning, I almost got killed the other day when a guy ran a red light. If I hadn't been paying attention and protecting myself, if I hadn't been paying attention to the road, he would have T-boned me and I probably wouldn't be here. That's life. So all of a sudden we've said, let's take all risk out of life.
No,
it can't happen.
Is there no risk for the soccer team, by the way? This is where we're almost struggling with it. So you're telling me that you're protecting the student athletes, or you're protecting, I'm not sure which way we're going. Are we protecting the student athletes or the community by not letting college athletics practice in our state? But are we not protecting the professional athletes or the people with whom they come in contact? This is where I'm getting a bit of the disconnect.
Yeah, and it has to be squared up, and it has to be squared up now. And we've seen other states that never closed that have infection rates the same as the state of New Mexico. And we've locked this place down tighter than a drum, and we still have COVID cases. So how does that work?
Well, and again,
I think it's time to open it up.
Well,
let's protect the people at risk. We have vaccines. My parents, I've signed them up. They're staying in their bubble until they get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can all get back to living our lives instead of basically running from life.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my rant for this morning. You all take care.
Enjoy the weekend. JJ, I don't think, well, I know I'm not. I don't think anybody's saying United should not be able to practice. I think what's going on here is the Lobos and Aggies and others should be able to, if they are.
Right? We're talking about practice, and this is the thing that happens is people are going to hear that and then make it a blanket statement like we don't care or are not concerned about everything. I can't get on board with the car crash one that everyone wants to use.
Right, I can't either. I'm right.
It's so false, just overall, because guess what? There's a car sitting beside you, and you could be safe there, but then that virus could jump the car. Like, that's what you need to be thinking about, not a car hitting you. It's like, how do you acquire a virus versus getting hit by a car? But anyway, this getting back to sports, we're talking about practice. We're talking about these things in specific. We're not saying, hey, open up and then throw 10,000 people inside the pit to get moving. It's why is that standard not changed? And why is it the same talking point with zero movement in regards to a sports team practicing versus others in the same state?
Yeah, and look, it's a risk driving the car. I think it's different risks. In some, you can protect yourself. You wear a seatbelt. I don't even think we should completely open up yet. I think we should begin to open up. We should be able to do things safely. But the conversation isn't shut them down. It's, well, if you're letting them play, how are you justifying? And I know how you're justifying. It doesn't wash. UNM, New Mexico State can't. And don't say there's not special exemptions, and everybody kind of sees what's going on, right? 505-246-0610. Again, this isn't anti-United necessarily, but people are it's gonna turn that way if they're the only ones. There's a lot of Lobo fans, a lot of Aggie fans, a lot of high school sports fans, a lot of Isotopes fans, a lot of other people. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, Sports Animal.
The Sports Bar.
By Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
The whole little jump step in the... And look out, here comes Agbayosi, Crawford. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits.
Jackson loses it. Jalen Bond back. LAU. Put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it?
Ramos, rise and fire. He's fouled.
You know, he used to coach for Del Norte. And
Here's Voss all the way with the finish. He'll get the... Behind the back of the dribble. Tries to go up with the right hand. He changed hands in midair. And hot it. Sent it away. Wynn doing a really good job denying Chavez. BC hasn't got the ball. Oh, Yeku. Oh. Working against Watson. Oh, look at the spin move.
Ball's loose. DJ Bustos brings it up. Barnes Tompkins, alley-oop. How about it? That was redunculous.
Cable to the big fella might try to jam on home.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice.
Isn't it amazing context? What some people would do to be allowed to practice. I mean, not even a game. I mean, we're talking about practice. Not the game they love. Not the game they go out and sweat and kill themselves, but for practice. We're talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? What did Mario Mocha say? He'd move heaven and earth to allow his student athletes to practice in this state. His volleyball team can't practice in the state of New Mexico. Now, they can get on a bus and go 40 minutes away and practice, but they can't play. It's where we are right now, boys and girls. It's the opening drive on a Friday. Jeff, JJ, Micah's producing on the radio side. Josh and J-Pole is back for the first time this week, making his big debut here on the show, back downtown at ProView Networks. And that's where we are. We're talking about practice. And if you want to get in on practice, you can do that as well. JJ, and not to beat the dead horse, I think for Lobo Athletics, and we're at the point in the calendar. We're talking about rolling things out. We're talking about slowly loosening. We're talking about vaccination schedules. We're talking about schools opening on hybrid models. We're talking about all kinds of different things. And you're telling me that the soccer team, somehow there's no risk of transmission to them or from them to the community, but if your volleyball team practices or your baseball team practices, then there is. We got to get to a point where Lobo and Aggie athletics should be able to follow these strict protocols and be able to practice. And I think the majority of us, I haven't heard anybody who doesn't think that, by the way. And again, I'm not sitting here, you're not, Rudy's not, nobody's saying United shouldn't practice, shouldn't be able to, no. That's not it. The fact that they are has laid groundwork, and Lobos and Aggies in high school should be able to as well. That's all.
It's what is the next step. It is a situation, we'll constantly keep saying it. We know it's not a situation where you make one decision for absolutely everyone, but when we're specifically talking about athletics, that seems like a similar situation that could make sense when you're sitting there saying, well, this county is red, so you can't do that, but they're doing that over there, and you're just giving them the pass because you say they're professionals, but not acknowledging any of the risks that you're saying are out there for the collegiate athletes. It doesn't make sense that it has not moved, and that it's the same statement from last year to right now.
And everything I understand, JJ, the collegiate athletes are being tested more than those professional athletes are, and are in a much more controlled environment than the professional athletes are, which would make them safer and a lower risk to the community than the professional athletes whom you are permitting to go out and do these activities. All right, 505-246-0610, 9 o'clock this morning, a little less than an hour from now. Jeff Hurd, the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference, is scheduled to join us. Jeff had the announcement yesterday of the WAC expansion. So Aggie fan, if you want to get in on that, you can, adding 5 institutions to the WAC, which really I think solidifies it. 4 Texas institutions and 1 in Utah, Southern Utah, along with Abilene Christian, Stephen F. Austin, Lamar, and Sam Houston State. That will go with the existing WAC. There are 13 members, and they will open up a football conference in 2022, JJ, that'll play at the FCS level, not the FBS level, and so we'll talk to him there. The talk on other conference expansion in Boise State. Yeah, I got this text. There's a lot going on, money and politics in New Mexico. Well, yeah, it's money and politics in New Mexico. All right, Gus sent me a note. JJ said if those 3 clubs, and he's talking about Boise State, San Diego State, and somebody else, leave the Mountain West? Does Craig Thompson go to Provo with a blank check and beg the Cougars to save the league? I mean, he makes a call there. You don't sell your soul to BYU, I don't think. JJ, would BYU join the American? Let's say this is the American's at 11 football playing schools right now. Wichita State's 12 for basketball. So I don't know what they're looking for, but if they invited, for football purposes, San Diego State and Boise State, would BYU be their next choice to make it 14? It would, right? I mean, I don't know if BYU would. Right, but is that where BYU might look at a conference again? Or do they still think they're going to the Big 12?
I don't know how worried BYU is about getting their football anywhere, because they just played, 9 or 10 games as independent in a season where
nobody else
they
did.
thought it was impossible to get games and schedule. So I think football-wise, they're comfortable with the path that they're on.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you, the West Coast Conference, like, we can have all these conversations we want. Gonzaga, what San Francisco is, Pepperdine pushed them yesterday, by the way, Gonzaga, for a half. San Francisco, St. Mary's, there's that league isn't horrible. And if you're going to tell me football stirs the drink, then that league's going to be adequate for some. I don't know what that means, adequate. I think San Diego State fan is really concerned about basketball. I think they feel that and they're right, they've created a power, putting their basketball team in the Big West, because the West Coast Conference is all faith-based private schools. The San Diego State, Boise State do not fit that mold at all, and so I think San Diego State fans are really concerned about what that would mean for basketball.
And it's one that we understand the football's in the driver's seat. Like, they're taking everyone else along for the ride. But it would be a really hard sell to just say, oh, football's making the jump to the American Athletic Conference, and basketball, maybe we'll sneak in over here. But we can't take you to the American Athletic Conference because they don't want you right now. That would definitely cause some division in that university, because, yeah, I get it. You get more money from football, but you've established yourself a pretty darn good basketball program that has been in the discussion outside of Gonzaga, who's been one of the most consistent teams on the West Coast.
For 2 decades. Yeah, I don't. For me, I just don't see it worth it. I don't think the American is that much better than the Mountain West in football. I just don't. I think you can tell me, you could point out programs, but I don't. And I just don't. I think this is a grass is always greener, that they're complaining about the Mountain West. They both these schools think that they should be in the Pac-12. They're not going to the Pac-12, and they both think that they're better than what they are. And it's to me, it's almost a delusions of grandeur. I just don't think they're better. Marty, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good day, Marty.
Gentlemen, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good. How you doing?
So, based on the governor's stipulation, I got a question. So, isotopes, the gladiators, professionals get paid. Are they going to be able to do what they want to do? And don't you think lately, as I see these when she comes out on Thursday, the governor, she looks like Pinocchio,
Edward on the line.
Just see that nose coming all the way out, lying through her teeth. But this is a great subject you guys got going, and with Grammer's article in the paper, something immediately has got to be done for these high school kids. They've just got to get something going for them. I appreciate what you guys are saying and doing, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. I don't, what the issue with the high school kids, I don't know that there's an advocate who's really fighting for them that's got a voice. Meaning, obviously, Peter has got the governor's ear, right? He brings up a great point on gladiators. Are they going to be able? Now, I don't know how she can do this. Can Gina have a season where, if they're allowed to practice, can they play all road games, or at least start out playing road games? I've seen their schedule, and there's a scenario where their first 2 games, home games, can be pushed to the back end of the schedule. But at some point, they've got to play home games, and they're reliant on gate. Obviously, Isotopes are reliant on gate. But my fear, it's not even a fear, where I have angst for the high school kids, JJ. Eddie and Mario are fighting for the colleges, for universities, which they should be. Obviously, Peter has got the governor's ear in getting whatever he wants for his team. Who's got the governor's ear and is fighting for the high school kids? And Sally Marcus is fighting, at the NMA level to get something going, but I don't know where she's going to be able to go with that. Like, who's fighting as an advocate to get those kids out to practice? There's going to be pods that are able to practice next week. Here's my fear on that again, by the way. They're going to let these kids start practicing next week in little pods and 2 days before their season again, because there's seasons on the right. There's a schedule. I think February 1st is football or whatever it is. Clip, and you're going to break their hearts again. And I don't know how much you can do to these kids. Just keep getting them ready and keep preparing them for a season and keep dropping them off a cliff. And I don't know who's fighting for them.
And I think that's the hardest thing to deal with in this whole situation is high school kids, and you're dealing with it firsthand, as so many other parents out there are. Is like, we can understand why there's concessions in certain areas, but if you keep saying one thing to a high school kid, like, oh, it's this date, it's that date, and just keep moving it around.
Keeps moving, yeah.
What's the point in that regard? Like, all of us can handle certain things differently, but even just allowing the practices, to your point, is a step. But if it's at some point, you have to say, you know what, you guys are going to practice this year, but we're not putting games together. And while that would absolutely be terrible, and I know it'd be crushing for so many.
But at least they'd know.
Yeah, you get a finality. It's like, all right, this is what we're doing. We're not going to get to play a season, which really stinks. But we're not just sitting here on a seesaw back and forth every day.
Look, I'm going to use my kid as an example, and I know she's not like everybody, but I'm going to assume she's like some and many, where she's like, Dad, we're going to work out next week. We're going to start, but and I know there's this, but she's like, it's not going to happen. She's like, she's bracing herself, which is her defense mechanism, to be let down again. And honestly, JJ, I think she's right. I think she's doing it the right way, because I think she and all the rest of these kids are going to get let down again. And if there's decisions made, and I'm hearing whispers that there are, then let them know. Rip the Band-Aid off. Like, honestly, does someone think it's better just to keep extending that carrot in front of them and get them to the end of the year and not let them play? Does somebody think that's the best way to do this? Now, you can tell me, well, the decisions haven't been made. Okay. But I'm hearing in some corners they have. So, I don't know. We're going to get back to the phones. 505-246-0610. Again, Jeff Hurd, the commissioner of the WAC, will be with us coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. I want to tell you about IPS. I tell you about them every day. I've told you about them every day for a bunch of years now, because I believe in what they do. International Protective Service is a security company. They protect my home. They protect homes and businesses throughout Albuquerque and Santa Fe. You see their vehicles all around town. Armed, trained officers, many of them former law enforcement, former military. Their job is to protect what's important to you, to stop crime before it happens. It's somewhat like insurance for your home and security. You don't necessarily think about it because, well, maybe I need it, maybe I don't, and then something bad happens. Don't wait too long. Call Aaron at IPS. There's no contracts, and protect what's important for you. They will offer you on-site guards or 24-hour patrols, and their job is to stop the crime before it happens. If you're leaving town, maybe you're going to go out of town, you've got a youth tournament out of town, you're taking the kids because they can't play here, you're going to go to Arizona or Texas. They'll protect your home while you're gone. Pick up the newspapers and roll up the garbage cans to the curb and back on garbage day. Give your home that lived-in look. Call IPS at 505-897-2420. That's 505-897-2420, or visit them at ipsglobal.com.
If you're
Ramos, rise and fire. He's fouled.
You know, he used to coach for Del Norte. And
Here's Voss all the way with the finish. He'll get the... Behind the back of the dribble. Tries to go up with the right hand. He changed hands in midair. And Hotman sent it away. Wynn doing a really good job denying Chavez. DC hasn't got the ball. Oh, Yeku. Oh. Working against Watson. Oh, look at the spin move.
Ball's loose. DJ Bustos brings it up. Barnes Tompkins, alley-oop. How about it? That was redunculous.
Turnover. Cable to the big fella might try to jam one home.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in. He got
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
in. 19 seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Jeff Hurd, the Mountain West, the WAC commissioner. Sorry. The WAC commissioner due to be with us coming up at 9 o'clock. Emails coming in, Jeff at 610knml.com, JJ at 610knml.com. Talking about practice, man. I mean, we're talking about practice. We really are talking about practice. Not a game.
Who knew?
Not a game. I know.
So many people would be excited about practice.
Man, when you got nothing, you just want to practice, don't you? When you can't get together, let me just tell you, and this is, we're going to go to the phones here in a minute at 246-0610. When you have no interaction, like this is the Micah thing. You know those days where the internet's down at the office and we go into the office and how excited Micah is, right? We do this every day, but he sees nobody, and so Micah, it's like people, and for us, it's kind of cool. Hey, people. Addie had a skills like within pods that she worked out with her lacrosse team a couple weekends ago, and she couldn't stop talking about it. And she wouldn't talk about practice, and she wasn't talking about the workouts. Although she did tell me she scored a goal on coach. But it was about hanging out with her teammates. It was, how what Brea did this and Casey this, and they went out and then went to Flying Star and got hot chocolated. That's what these kids need as much as anything. So yeah, practice is a big deal, JJ. We're talking about practice because these kids need to practice and they need the interaction, and all of it is a big piece. And hopefully, at some point they get to begin to talk about practice, man. We're talking about practice. Edward, practice. Some big words on me. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 670 Sports Animal. You're on the show.
Not the game that I love. Not the game that I've given my life to.
But practice.
What are we talking about?
Practice.
We talk about here we are, an MVP of this show. An MVP of this show, making the finals, being on the Jim Rohn show and getting racked multiple times. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the Crusher. There's some rants that stay etched in my memory quite succinctly. That one, Allen Iverson. How about Reggie White when he offended every ethnicity under the sun? Reverend Reggie White, when he was still alive, God rest his soul, when he unintentionally offended every ethnicity in his public rant. How about, there's so many. How about Patrick Ewing during the work stoppage in the NBA when they were fighting for the NBA contract, and he's saying,
we spend a lot of money, but we spend a lot of money.
But we spend a lot of money. That's the mic drop right there.
Well, and Lee Elia, the old Cubs coach or Cubs manager, talking about the effing people around here. Get an effing job that they come. This is before lights at Wrigley Field, and so they were all day games. And all these damn people, they don't have a bleeping job. Yeah, that was one of the classics.
How about Mike Gundy, who's one of my favorite coaches?
He's a
Come
man.
After me. I'm a man. I'm 40. JJ, you're not there yet, by the way. But
we'll do best rants in July.
Over a decade ago.
JJ, put it on the topic list for July. Best sports rants.
How about Tony Romo? Every non-Cowboy fan, when he lost his starting job due to injury, and he called the press conference to say that he was relinquishing the starting job, which A, wasn't his decision, and B, every person outside of Cowboy fans couldn't give a rip, and they all came out and said, this is unneeded. But good segue, my friends. What are we talking about today? The playoffs. Jim Mora. And
playoffs?
That's another great well, we're just trying to win a game, and you want to talk about the playoffs?
Playoffs?
It's a day of jubilation and anticipation, and a weekend of jubilation and anticipation. Yesterday I called the Saturday games, and then Sunday. Guys, I honestly think we're going to see three relatively not competitive but solid wins by teams this weekend, which probably won't be in jeopardy. And I think we're going to have one close game. The close game that I think we're going to get, which I mentioned yesterday, was the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. I think it's a 3-point spread for the home team, which is essentially a pick'em game. And I'm going to take the Bills at home because, like I said yesterday, they have a better quarterback. I think they're a little bit better coached, even though John Harbaugh is an amazing coach. But going into the Sunday games, I think Cleveland's going to – I think the Chiefs are going to take Cleveland apart. It's a 10-point spread, and the line hasn't moved. I'm looking at a 34-17 game. I just think that the Chiefs are going to prove who they are, and they're going to take the Cleveland Browns apart. They're the heavy favorites, and they have the best player in the NFL currently, and I just think the Chiefs are going to deliver. Now, I can hope with all my heart, and the New England Patriots, who just came off the greatest 20-year run in the history of the NFL, they're not in it, but I can still root for the great Thomas Edward Brady. And as much as I want to root for them, you know what? The Saints are a better team. I think Brady's still a better quarterback at this point in his career than Breeze is. By the way, Breeze will turn the ball over in critical moments. He's done it the last 4 years. I'm kind of hoping he does it this weekend. But I got to go against my heart and use logic, and I think the Saints are going to beat the Tampa Brady Gronkaneers, and the dream ends. You know what's funny, guys, is just talking to friends around town and people at the gym, and I've had more than a few people tell me, as much as I don't like Tom Brady, I'm kind of rooting for him this year, and there's a public swell of sentiment rooting for him to kind of do well outside of the Patriots organization. I would love to see him make his 13th conference championship game, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think it's a 3-point spread with the Saints giving 3. I just think they're going to cover and get that win. So sets up for a great championship weekend. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on all this. But I don't have much to say about the soccer team and their ability to practice. I listen intently to your daughter's perspective, and it's unfortunate because you're right. I think if the decision makers that are if they do have an idea of what they want to do, then just be forthright and transparent and come out and say so people can prepare and move forward. And for your dynamic daughter to have that wherewithal and understanding is a testament to both her and you, Jeff. So I'm rooting for you guys. Enjoy the games this weekend. Have a delightful time, and we'll check in on Monday.
JJ, I think Tampa's going to beat New Orleans. New Orleans beat them both times this year, but and as much as I like New Orleans defense, I like the way Tampa Bay is playing. I think Tampa Bay wins this weekend.
I'm with you. I think Tampa Bay breaks the streak of New Orleans. Looking at the slate of games, I'm intrigued by that one, and then Baltimore and Buffalo the most this weekend. I think they're going to be the most competitive games, but we come back on Monday and we're always second guessing everything that we thought going into the weekend. I think that the Buccaneers offense is at a level where it can test the Saints defense, and that's what makes New Orleans special this season. It's their defense. It's not Drew Brees. It's not Taysom Hill. It's what their defense does, and then they've done enough offensively. So it's going to be, all right, how do you get Alvin Kamara in space? How do you get him involved? And then can you slow down Tom Brady enough? Because they got the weapons. Mike Evans looked good. Now, there's a question mark after he messed up his knee, hyperextension. And it's Evans, Godwin, and Brown, and they're going downfield on you, and it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I look, this is nothing against New Orleans, and I like New Orleans. And New Orleans was my preseason pick for the Super Bowl. It was New Orleans and Baltimore. I've got the Packers, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bucks this weekend. The Buffalo game is really, really intriguing to me, and I love the matchup, and I love the way the Ravens are playing right now. I really, really do, and I think defensively they've got things together. It's gonna be cold. And the fact that Lamar Jackson has never played in a snow game, now that doesn't mean he's never played in the cold before, and I think there needs to be a distinction to that. But I guess I'm going to go with the guy who, by the way, and I said this on TJ's show. Everybody tells me how Lamar's a great runner, and he really is. And but what Josh Allen does out of the pocket, I'm not telling you is Lamar Jackson-esque. But it's pretty dynamic in its own right. And I'm going to take the guy who can get out of the pocket and make things happen with his legs, but also has become a really good, smart passing quarterback. Oh, and who, by the way, played college in Laramie and plays in Buffalo and plays in those elements. I'm gonna go with the Bills on this, just because I'm not certain. First of all, I think they're playing really, really well, and secondly, I'm not sure. I think that Lamar's going to be able to do this for 4 quarters in a night game in Buffalo in January.
Well, if the weather's bad, why would you go with the passer?
Because I still think they're going to throw the ball. I mean, I don't think it's going to be to the point where it can't be thrown.
Then, yeah, and this is one where I'm all in on Buffalo. I thought they were the second best team, but I'm kind of leaning towards Lamar Jackson. Because, yes, Josh Allen is a better thrower of the football. But what they asked Lamar Jackson to do, he's doing it at a high level. It's a great game. I will make a decision by the time we get out of here, but this is the hardest one for me to see which side I'm coming down on. Is it Josh Allen or is it Lamar Jackson in this contest? And, yeah, if it's cold, well, I think it's cold in Baltimore. Is it Buffalo cold?
Yeah.
No, but.
Well, all right, so it's not going to be ridiculously cold when you look at it. I mean, Micah, what time are we kicking off there? It's 4 o'clock here, 6 o'clock their game. Is that right? On Saturday night? What time you got us on the air? Because Saturday night in Buffalo,
Express makes renewing your vehicle registration.
Snow showers and breezy, 31 degrees. So I guess that's not ridiculous. All right. Want your calls, 246-0610, 888-922-0610. I got a Jason email for you. Jeff Hurd's going to be with us at the top of the hour to talk about the WAC expansion. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah, it looks like, what do we got? Josh, J. Pole, Joseph, all the J's are out over at ProView on 95.9 FM and AM 670 Sports Animal.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown.
Outstanding.
Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, and up the middle's got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a...
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Portel.
The outside of running an out route.
Davison in the play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown. So Davison back to toss, and he's got all day. Next one miss, and he's rolling. He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
We told you he
touchdown.
could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the win in his back, but
creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the 3, and he buries it.
They'll be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul.
Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a...
Around the screen against White. Step back, it's blocked. JB with the block.
In transition, ahead to hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Minutes to go. They've got a shot. They have a chance, and it's put up, and it's good. What a 3 that is by Jalen.
Hidon puts it up.
Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Domina Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes! Pass up court. This for the win. Blocked by DJ Bustos. Cowboys win. Cowboys win.
Moreno extra pass, and Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's gonna run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand. And
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Lewis into Watson with the jam.
Far with the ball at the end.
Another steal by Domino Lovato. And here comes Agbaiosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming.
You remember. It's nice of you to remember. Yeah, boy. Where'd y'all go? Where y'all went? Oh, we got a big old hoe party going on, Micah. Look what's going on. Oh, yeah, uptown. Say downtown. Yeah. Missed my bus. What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Big old hoe party here on the opening drive, or the Hopening Drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Animal. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah's downtown. It's Josh and J Pole and Joseph and the big old party. They're all wearing masks, by the way, just in case you can't see them. It is a big old mask party down at ProView Networks. All right, JJ, Aggie fan, as you would think, is feeling pretty good about the expansion announcement. You want me to, can I give you figured we'd hear from Jason today, right? So here's what Jason had to say. He said he's smoking a stogie with his feet up. Good morning, OD. Today is a great day for the WAC, but it's also a great day for Jason. I'm going to go full Edward and take credit for calling this 3 years ago. The only school I missed out on was Northern Arizona. Okay, enough self-aggrandizing. Now I'm going to go full Jeffrey with the SAT words. This is huge for the D1 programs in Texas. Why? This puts the alums of those schools in the boardroom and golf course conversations in Texas, which is huge. Alumni giving, enrollment, and booster dollars are going to jump dramatically in a state that has seen a population boom and a business boom. Those schools may become better supported financially than the Mountain West and are in better markets, which should scare Mountain West fans. The Utah piece is also interesting in that the I-15 corridor from Vegas to Salt Lake City has been booming. If you come out in the mountains on a 6 on the north, and you can drive for 140 miles and not know what town you're in with the urban sprawl of Salt Lake City. The south end, which is Vegas, St. George, and Cedar City, is growing and will be the same in 10 years. Quick question. Anyone notice that Utah has 5 Division I football schools? So with that, I will predict the next school to jump will be Weber State to get into the Salt Lake City market. This is huge for stability and puts the Mountain West on notice that they will need to keep San Diego State and Boise State just to keep San Diego State and Boise State. They just became huge winners. Now, let's be honest. If the Mountain West came calling, New Mexico State would bolt the WAC room, leaving a Pistol Pete-shaped hole in the wall faster than Lobo fan can make excuses for losses. But for today, it's a good day for Aggie athletics. Crimsonally, Jason, P.S., did JJ use the word wobble when referring to the WAC? You are on the fast track to earning that crimson scarf. P.S., BYU will not go to the Mountain West. Their mission is different, and their focus is to keep up with Utah. Do you think the AAC would turn down San Diego State's hoop program, that conference, a basketball conference, but that level, yikes. All right, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I don't know that like I told you yesterday, I think give them 5 years at Division I, and those schools will be competing. There is a lot of money. There is a lot of influx of population. There are a lot of alums, and they are in good markets. All of those things are true.
Yes, I am not as confident in Jason in terms of looking at it and going straight to the top shelf. because I can also point to a lot of other Division I schools in Texas that aren't any good, and they've been Division I for a while. So it's the initial boost is going to matter, but it's also still really hard to do this at a high level constantly. Still a really good move for the WAC, but looking straight to top shelf, not quite.
Yeah, I think you tap the brakes a little bit. I think they're going to be relevant at this mid-major level. I do. Not tomorrow, not in 3 years, but within the decade, long term. I think you're going to be looking. I just look at how quickly Coastal Carolina or Appalachian State or UTSA to a lesser level became players, and I think that's kind of where the goal is. Fred, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Fred.
Hey, guys. Hey, I remember Dan called not too long ago, and I want to keep talking about the isotopes. For one thing, I'm very, very concerned, and also about minor league baseball. They right now, I don't know if you're aware, but they've dropped 40 teams, and they're going to have 120 teams now in the minors. And what they're doing in the minor leagues in Albuquerque is pretty much the same. I don't know who Sugarland is, but all the rest of the teams are going to be together. But back east, the East and the Midwest are going to have 20 teams. That's all been decided what they're going to do. But like for us, for instance, what are we really going to do? We draw 800,000 people, and this is a way for us to get away from what's going on. And here, to drop baseball one more year, I don't even know if they can make it. I think Grisham's got to do something, and like baseball and softball. God, why can't you play baseball and softball? You're 100, 200 feet away from the other players. You just put the other players in the stands like Major League Baseball did. It's just so ridiculous that this can't be worked out. I just think if something didn't happen by February, we need to get together. I don't know who wants to head it up, but someone's got to get together, and we got to do something to let these kids play. Same with your daughter, cross country. Gosh darn, once the race starts, God, the kids are spread out so dang far and stuff. It's ridiculous. They're all going to wear their masks. They're willing to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just concerned about all these different sports like Lobo baseball, Lobo softball. Oh man, I'm going to die if we don't have that stuff. I just can't believe this. So we got to somehow do something anyway, and I don't think we should wait past February 1. I don't know what to do, but we got to start thinking right now, and we got to do something soon. So. That's all I was calling about, because I was really concerned about all these other sports that are coming up now with soccer too. And anyway, that's all. I just wanted to give my piece. Okay, guys.
Thanks. Well, first of all, don't die without Lobo baseball. JJ, his fear is real on isotopes baseball, on everything. I mean, I just don't know, aside from allowing United to play. I mean, you think there's going to be gladiators? What makes me think that there's going to be isotopes baseball? I'm concerned for all of it, and a second year of going dark for all the. Now we're in the second year Lobo baseball going dark. I mean, how's that program come back? It's almost like you're starting from scratch. Can isotopes survive as a business? Going dark for 2 years in a row? All those concerns are real. United will be fine. United survives. But I think everybody else should have the chance too, and I know you agree with me.
Yeah, the uncertainty is frustrating. It's hard to wrap your head around, especially when you've seen zero movement in some areas. And yeah, they're going to sit there with a lot of concern and not really a hope that the concern is going to change anytime soon.
Yeah. All right. 505-246-0610. Back to you. I'll update you on the latest in NFL coaching searches. Jeff Hurd is the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference. He'll be with us coming up at the top of the hour. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
With Allstate.
The
Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
I'll just get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's gonna fire at the buzzer and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Heavyweight tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagle.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this, stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Couldn't have said that any better. He answered the question.
On
Got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Vista, but just all the different scenarios we could see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish. Here's Natalia Chavez. Good spin. Takes a.
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop to the.
Play with the gambling a little bit. Oh, there's a.
Hill, little step, high window with a. Got the second.
To the middle. Here we go. 3.9. It's Cooper's going to run with it. Cooper's going to swing it out to Lowry. Lowry. Portillo couldn't get it off, and Clovis. He goes in. It's waved off. He did not get it off in time. Portillo.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? Like, goes all Peter Brady, a grown-ass man goes all Peter Brady. 505-246-06. JJ, we got playoffs on the radio coming up on Saturday. Playoffs.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Oh, yeah, buddy. You ready for your big game today? Lobos women's basketball this afternoon against UNLV. The voice of the Lady Lobos, J.J. Buck, will have a call. 3 o'clock tip-off, 2:30 pregame show. How are you ladies? Are you ready to go?
Ready to, and that's a big question. Can you pick up where you left off? January 2nd, you had a week off quarantine in Logan, and then you go into Vegas. They were able to start practicing again last Sunday. And, situation that it's a step up. Each UNLV is better than Nevada was. And so now it's the best team that they've played to this point in the season. It should be a good matchup. Nevada UNLV likes to shoot the three, the Lobos shoot the three, so you know what you're going to get is an exciting matchup.
Typically, annually, UNLV's been really, really tough over the years for New Mexico. Athletically, it's been a tough matchup, and you've watched a lot of times where what we thought was a better UNM team go into UNLV and get beat. They'll play twice. Is this your typical UNLV athletic, really, really good, athletic club?
Yeah, it's one that is first-year coach. So Lindy LaRock took over second year coach in Division I basketball, 30 years old. Lost 83% of their scoring from last year, 84% of their rebounding. But when you watch them play, they don't look like a team that lost that much. You have the reigning Mountain West defensive player, Bailey Thomas, the perimeter, transfer that became eligible, and the posts that are pretty good. So it's a solid team, not quite the Rebel teams of the past. I think they're actually better probably on the perimeter. But it sets up for a fun matchup. Both these schools looking for that next step up in conference play.
All right, JJ will have the call 2:30 pregame, 3 o'clock. So what do you got? You got Carlisle and Trulio standing by for like a 5:30 to 7 o'clock sports bar, or are they just taking the whole day off? Big 3-day weekend. By the way, we will be here on Monday. I know a lot of you were off Monday. We'll be here on Monday. So do they get is that their version of a 3-day weekend?
No, they should be standing by, ready to go once we wrap it up.
Stand by, boys. Stand by. All right, 505-246-0610, 888-922-0610. Emails, jeff@610knl.com, jj@610knl.com. Lobo Hobo said, what a hoe. Does the public health order allow for hoe practice? It does. It's kind of like wall ball. It's because you can practice in a group of one. So I can go into my chamber and just hoe. And just take a deep breath and let it out at a nice, bellowing pace. And I think that's the key. You guys, sometimes I think you let too much out at the beginning, and there's not enough left as you're coming down the home stretch, you see. But so that's my whole practice, yeah. He also said, couldn't disagree with Fred more, Jeff. If you don't think those cross-country girls are bumping at the tape, you've never seen a race that can get full contact at the finish line. Who was it that told me? Joe Franklin, the UNM cross-country track coach, told me, he says he firmly believes like the most exciting things in sports, and I understand where he's coming from after watching a few, are the ends of cross-country races. And, it's better than the end of a good football game. I'm like, all right, whatever you like. But honestly, when you're watching men or women, boys or girls, that have just run a bunch of miles and coming down and fighting at the tape and sprinting, and some have something left, and here comes somebody from back and somebody's trying to hold them off, and actually is pretty good watching.
I put it on the list, and I don't disagree with him. I think the end of football games can be incredibly boring because the opponent doesn't have a chance to change the game.
Yeah. Omar, he sent me a classic. I'll send it to you. He's requesting music. I'll get it to you. All right. I promised you NFL coaching stuff before we go to break. Robert Saleh has been named the new head coach of the New York Football Jets. He's the former defensive coordinator now of the San Francisco 49ers. Urban Meyer took the Jacksonville job yesterday, and Arthur Smith has been offered the coach of the Falcons. Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans. But JJ, and still, this is really kind of weird, actually. It's not often where headlines for this long say offered without an acceptance. So is he waiting for another gig? I know he was interviewed for the Jets job. But it doesn't feel kind of weird. Well, I mean, he was offered. Is he not taking the job, or are you taking the job?
1 minute.
Mm-hmm. And it's always the opposite every situation. So the Jets go from an offensive head coach to a defensive head coach. The Falcons are going from a defensive head coach to offering an offensive coach. Always the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. They're going back and forth. All right, Jeff Hurd's the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference. The WAC announced expansion yesterday, planning on speaking with Jeff Hurd next. That's the opening drive. You can watch us on ProView Networks or listen to us as you are on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out! See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. An 8. 2 receivers at the top. Harris has all day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man. Touchdown. Wildcats. Not a defender inside.
A little bit.
Webskowski on the sideline. Hasta mañana. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman. He's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's Krebs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Second field goal, he's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off. Romero, a 3 for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good... Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, 20!
But he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, little kick.
the finish for Akbayosi.
Try it like this.
Saved into the hands of Riak, ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide coaches award program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Animal. Well, big day for the Western Athletic Conference yesterday. This is a conference that has gone through a lot of realignment, membership change over the years. We've watched the league go with a lot of different membership formations. And yesterday, I think, was a big move towards stability of the league. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck. We'll get back to your phone calls coming up in a little bit. We've watched this league, of which New Mexico State is a member. And I think a lot of us were concerned over the last bunch of years. Is the league going to be able to survive? Is membership fluxed all over the country? And I give a lot of credit to our next guest. He's the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference, Jeff Hurd, who led this league to expansion and really held this thing together amongst during some lean times. And yesterday was a big announcement with the addition of Lamar and Stephen F. Austin, Abilene Christian, Sam Houston State, and Southern Utah. We'll get into the announcement of football. Jeff, congratulations. It was a big day, and I know a lot went into it. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, and thank you. Yeah, it's a very satisfying day today that we're through this and that we're able to accomplish a project that was, at least in my opinion, critical to our future, and feel very good about it.
Jeff, I've known you for a lot of years, and when you were working with Carl, and we started the bowl game with the WAC as a member of it, this league has been through a lot of expansion and defection, and you've been through a lot of it. This felt to me over the last few years like the most tumultuous time for this league, the most uncertainty, and there was a time where I was wondering if the WAC was going to be able to survive.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. There were times when I wondered the same thing, and I did. One of the comments I made yesterday was that I've been with the WAC for more than 3 decades, and as you know, I worked for Carl for 18 years, and I will say this: that my longevity here really is only important for one reason, and that is that I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of change. I've been through, in one form or another, 54 different membership changes during that time, and so. I think as you look to the future, and it's true with a lot of conferences, but specifically the WAC, that I didn't feel, and I've never felt, as a commissioner, that we were in a position that we could sit still and just let things play out and hope it went well. That we had to try to make a significant move, not just an expansion, but a significant expansion that helped us from a geographic standpoint, from a sustainability standpoint. And it was an aggressive move that ultimately brings football back under the WAC umbrella, and saying that we were able to accomplish that. We still have a lot more work to do, but I feel really good about where we are.
Jeff Hurd is the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference. He's with us on the opening drive.
Jeff, JJ Buck, when this process started to gain traction and you're looking around, right, who could be interested, what makes sense for us, what is that like, and how much work was done to get to this point?
Well, it's a lot of days where you come into the office and you think that you're real close, and then a lot of days that you come into the office and you think you're a long ways away from it. But it's there's not a template that you could follow. You can't Google something and say how do you add 5 institutions to a conference. There's a lot of people involved, not one person. From our standpoint, it was very important that our board of directors, our school presidents got involved from day one. It was important that when I went to our board a couple of years ago and asked for permission to pursue a football possibility, and quite frankly at that time it was just a concept. I didn't know if we'd get it done or not, but I knew that if we were going to make a significant move as a league, we needed to open up the window, so to speak, of the number of institutions that were out there that we could talk to. Because without football and only focusing on not football playing Division I institutions, the opportunities were very minimal. So it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of talk, a lot of no's, and a lot of yeses, but also a lot of no's, and it's a process that takes a long period of time. This particular one began about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, with a simple conversation, and then, as I said earlier, there were a lot of ups and downs during that period, but ultimately we were able to get headed in the right direction, and then be able to work through some important elements of the expansion and what was important to the new institutions, what was important to the current institutions of the conference, and trying to figure out how we were going to make it all work.
Jeff, why is football so important in collegiate athletics? It's something that moves the needle for everyone, and you just mentioned it in that statement. The football piece was important to getting everyone on board to make this move forward.
I think there's a couple reasons. One of them is that football is a revenue driver. Basketball is a revenue driver also, but football, from a media rights standpoint, from a opportunity standpoint, for others, from the outside influences that are interested in your conference, football is a big part of it and a big driver for that. So that's part of it. I think the other one is just simply the WAC has a long history of being a good football conference, and it was important to me. I just felt that we weren't whole without it, and that's it's kind of a generalization, but I just felt that we needed as a conference to bring it back if we could, and that would help kind of solidify the conference, help solidify the avenues we could go down in the future. Now that said, another important part of this expansion was also related to basketball. We feel like we've significantly strengthened our basketball as a league. We've brought in some very good programs, and we think that from a top to bottom conference, and specifically in men's basketball, some other sports also, but specifically in men's basketball, this was a move that strengthened our league considerably.
Jeff Hurt is the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference with us on the opening drive. And Jeff, for you to have expansion, that meant you had to have conversation about these institutions leaving the leagues in which they were members, the Southland or the Big Sky in Southern Utah's case. And you keep mentioning football. Football feels like it was what drove this. You're going to start as an FCS league, and that's the talk. And I know you want to add at least one more institution. UTRGV is talking about starting football. For our audience, with New Mexico State, who's now the senior member of the Western Athletic Conference, which sounds crazy in its own right, they're playing as an FBS independent, and their fans, their alumni, have talked about finding a home. What is the path, if any, and I know there's been discussion, and maybe not formal, about potentially at some point in this decade becoming an FBS league?
Yeah, no, that is a good question, and I don't really have a specific answer for you other than conceptually, can we get to an FBS level as a conference? Perhaps. But I think it's premature to look at that right now. It's my goal from the beginning has to begin to get a solid league put together. We have to get a solid FCS conference put together, determine what kind of success that we can have at that level, and what do the member institutions want to do? One of the elements of this expansion was the new members, and the two currently transitioning institutions we have to FCS football have agreed that they will look at. I don't think study is the right word, but at least look at the ramifications of feasibility and what does it mean to go FBS as an institution. And there will be some that are closer than others, but we don't have a specific timetable or anything like that. It's just hey, is it a possibility in 5 years or 3 years or 8 years or whatever that is that we could take a look at it? Sure, there's a possibility, but it's not written in stone, and it's not it wasn't the primary factor that drove this thing.
Well, would this be too much of a leap, Jeff, to the conversation that we've had, and it's just, a bunch of guys bloviating on the radio, but you're looking at schools that are leaving a pretty stable spot in the Southland to go form a new league. And from the way I understand it, and I'm asking you what the process is for the WAC, because it's already been an FBS league, to restart FBS football as opposed to start a new league like the Southland wanted to move up. Does that make sense, that those schools would leave the Southland with the vision of, well, we could go to the WAC and it would be an easier transition to FBS?
Yeah, I've had that question asked before, and it really, I don't know that it's easier. Certainly the WAC has a history as the FBS conference, but really there's really a couple elements to FBS levels that I'm sure, Jeff, that you really know. One is you can meet the NCAA criteria to be an FBS conference or to be an FBS level program. That's one element. And there are certain things you have to do as a conference. You have to have 8 members that sponsor X amount of sports, and you have to play a certain schedule a certain way. That's part of it. But if you want to be part of the CFP system, that's another part of it. You have to be accepted into that. And you have to, those 10 conferences right now would have to say, yeah, we're willing to bring in another one, whether it's the WAC or any other conference that's looking at FBS at some point. So that's another element. There's no guarantee that the current 10 would want an 11th or a 12th or whatever the number might be. So that's a factor. We also don't know what the football landscape is going to be in the next 3 to 5 years, 2 to 5 years. We just don't know. There could be a significant change. It might stay the same way. We don't know. So you have to monitor that, see what's out there and see what possibilities are. A lot of elements involved, and there's not one that drives it. There's not a specific thing. Hey, if this happens, then if A happens, then B is going to happen automatically. So, obviously we're going to monitor it, and we will, determine at some point whether that makes sense or not. But it's not front and center right now.
Jeff, when it came to the schools that ultimately decided to join the WAC, and we have the member institutions in Texas, is that something that just happened to work out that way, or was there a focus of not wanting to end up having too many schools just randomly dotted around the country?
No, you hit on a good point there. It was we did not want to just add institutions. One of the WAC's issues over the last several years, as you guys well know, is our geographic disparity. And it wasn't just a matter that, hey, we were stretched from Chicago to Seattle to Southern California to Southern Texas, or far Southern Texas, and in a few spots in between, is we didn't have any close proximity rivals. We were a conference, and we had AQ, and we had we were able to build, and it took a lot of patience and a lot of cooperation from our members. But what we didn't have was that feeling of what I call a conference feeling, where you have natural rivals, where you have weekends where A plays B, and fans from both institutions can and will attend the event, that they follow each other. By adding these 4 Texas institutions that are longtime rivals in their previous conference, that was important to us. Also important that we already had 2 institutions in the state of Texas. So now with 6 Division I schools in the state, we have a much larger presence in that state. Our intent is to operate in divisional play in all sports, with the exception of men's and women's basketball and football, obviously. So it was important we were able to do that. Same with Dixie State. When we brought Dixie State in, we brought Southern Utah in for this particular expansion. Now we have 3 institutions in the state of Utah. They're all within driving distance of each other. They're all within driving distance of where we play our basketball tournament in Las Vegas. That was important. So, we were able to make better sense of our geography, if that makes some sense.
No,
and we're able to, by divisionalizing it, being a format where we can divisionalize it, makes economic sense. It creates financial sustainability for the conference. Doesn't mean that we don't still have some issues that we have to deal with, and we have to figure out, because we do, and we still have to add another institution, and we will. But we were able to close the gap in many areas that were really critical to the WAC's future. I can tell you that from my standpoint, I really felt that as I look to the future, if we didn't do something that was, kind of out that probably few people expected we would do or could do, that the WAC's future was very fragile, and I think by doing this, that is no longer the case.
He's Jeff Hurd, the commissioner of the WAC. Jeff, lastly, I'm going to guess maybe you had your best night's sleep in a long time last night. I asked Mario about this too, just the stability going forward with all the uncertainty that you've had over the last bunch of years. I get it, it's not done, but having that announcement yesterday, getting to the finish line on this has got to let you sleep better and know that the future of this league is stable for a while.
No question about it. That's a big element, not just for me, but for our entire conference. And I will tell you that from all 13 institutions, at the board level, at the athletic directors level, there was complete buy-in on this, and a complete and energy with other individuals that played a big role in being able to put this together. One person doesn't do it. It takes complete buy-in from the entire conference, and that happened in this case.
Jeff, I appreciate it. Congratulations. Like I told JJ and you, that WAC is always dear to my heart. They were original partner of the New Mexico Bowl. I worked with you back, 15 years ago, getting the bowl game started here in Albuquerque, and I've always appreciated the relationship. Best of luck to you, and congratulations on getting this done. And I know we'll talk again, and gosh, hopefully I'll see you at a basketball tournament maybe here in a few months in Vegas.
Well, I hope so. That's the next challenge. How do we get our basketball tournament played? But I appreciate it, Jeff. I really do. I've like you said, we've known each other for a long time, and we have a great relationship. JJ, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on with you.
Best to you, Jeff, and be well. Congratulations. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Jeff Hurd, the commissioner of the WAC. JJ, there's a lot there, and we're late for this break. We'll wrap. I want to recap because I think there's so much there. But when we come back, we'll kind of go through some of what was there, because I think a lot of it is really, really positive stuff, and still some unknowns. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
There's only one road.
I thought that was good.
There's only one home.
Opportunity here. Martinez shoots, he scores. Cut into it. Had some nice looks at the rim. Win. Inside. They're not going to miss this one. Two-hand hammer for Murillo. Ball's played up. Rodriguez with it. Gonna settle. Looks to the inside. Brings to the far side push. Shot on in. Goal. Deflected in. No.
Dorian's gonna go all the way. It was blocked by the rim. Get it out, says Kobe Wade. Ramos, get it. Look out. Ramos. chase it down. It was a freebie. Saved it. And then stolen. And somehow Hasbury's got it back. Handoff. Watson.
Stripped. Calion stripped him. Highland the other way. Quinn up top to the big goal. Here he comes.
For the lead. Got him.
What a great game plan. Look at this.
Agbayosi throws it down.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need.
Pitchers and catchers will report soon. A little breaking news. Yankees are on the verge of bringing back DJ LeMahieu. JJ, this feels like stealing to me. 6 years, $90 million. He's 32 years old. He spent the last 2 years with the Yankees, was with the Rockies before that. He finished fourth in the MVP voting in 2019, third last year. Hit 364. I like $15 million a year. And look, I mean, I'm the guy who was always telling you at some point these salaries are going to have to scale back. At $15 million, like I'd love to play 1 year and you'll never have to hear from me again. But feels like they stole it, doesn't it? At $15 million a year for 6 years for DJ LeMahieu.
It's crazy when you look at the Yankees handing out a contract for $90 million. You're like, man, I think that's a bargain contract for the New York Yankees. A lot of it had to do with he's still really good, but 32, you are kind of on the back end, and that's a lot to ask when you get into 36, 37, 38, what kind of player he's going to be. I think a little bit of it, too, is giving him a bonus for the first deal he signed with the Yankees was an absolute steal. When he came over, but it's solid dude that you can count on. He's played multiple positions in the infield, just continues to rake, and is an important piece to who they are right now.
Yep. All right. I want to get into what you just heard from Jeff Hurd. JJ, I've been a big Jeff Hurd fan. He's been through some crap now. I mean, that job, imagine being with the WAC for 3 decades and being the commissioner for the last, gosh, it's got to be, a decade at least. When did Carl go over to the Sun Belt? It's got to, I'm going to guess 12 years. I give him a ton of credit because I just, like I told him, and I've said to you many times, I just didn't see how the WAC was going to survive. And now I think the WAC is as stable as any of those mid-major conferences. Whether you want to tell me the Big West or any league like that. And I give him a ton of credit. There's a ton in there. We talk football, and football, while he said maybe wasn't the driver, it was certainly a driver in this thing. What did you take out of that? Anything out of that? Because it sounds to me like he's stopping short of guaranteeing they want to go FBS, but obviously there's been conversation about pointing towards that direction.
Yeah, it's one that I don't think anyone wants to put a timetable on it, because then if they don't hit it, then like, oh no, what is happening? But it had to have been a important part of the conversation to get teams to go from one FCS conference to another with like you said, a different carrot out there dangling. So I understand why there's not a comment of boom, by this date this is where they're transitioning, because he's right. The first thing you have to do is get that foundation as an FCS football league, get everyone on the same page, get rolling, because it's not as simple as snapping your fingers and then saying an entire conference is jumping to FBS football. Because it's one thing when a team or two does it, that all right, we're making that transition. It's another when you're going from 60 scholarships or so in FCS football up to 85 in an expanded roster. So there's a lot that goes into it, because just think about that, adding 25 to 30 scholarships to your athletic department.
It's to your budget. Yeah, it's to your budget. And to his point, you've got to have the institutional buy-in, and it's got to come from the president's level, and all that's right. I think one thing they've got going for them is the majority of their schools are playing football. And playing at a pretty decent clip, right? I mean, Sam Houston State, Abilene Christian, have all had decent programs. Dixie State and Tarleton, we'll see what they become. But that's why it really interests me. Who's the next? Who else is in? Jason claims Weber State. That's interesting because I think then that puts New Mexico State into that Texas division. And this is one of those where New Mexico State's the closest school, the driving school would be Grand Canyon for them, and then you put them into that Texas division. Is it Incarnate Word? Is there another school? Is it Corpus Christi? Is it? I've heard talk. University of Texas Arlington would be looking to start football for years. They're playing in the Sun Belt, so but I think they would open up in the Sun Belt then. So where does it go? I like what he said in regards to the stability, and those institutions. You're in good markets now. You're in good, solid Texas markets. And Jeff said something yesterday, and I don't want any Mountain West fan to come in and kind of crack on them. They're not Texas. They're not. He acknowledged yesterday that we have no delusions that we're going to take away from Texas or Texas A&M. They understand who they are, and I think that's one of the first rungs of success is to understand who you are, what you're not. Be good at you are. Be what you are. People told me long ago, you're not the Rose Bowl. I said, you're damn right. I mean, we're the New Mexico Bowl. I'm really comfortable being who we are and serving the people whom we serve. And I think Jeff's got the right attitude, and I think those institutions are with that. And to come together and leave a league that was solid. The Southland was solid. Southern Utah leaving the Big Sky is a solid league. For them to come down here and play, and I think a big part of them leaving the Big Sky was because of the proximity to two Utah schools, Dixie State and Utah Valley, within driving distance for them, and it made sense. So I think the be able to attract schools from pretty good situations shows me that there's something positive here.
And how about that? Rivalries, trying to build it, looking at regional rivalries. It's tough when you look at ultimately college athletics. You got to have money to succeed. And a lot of these decisions were just, all right, what conferences make sense? Oh, we can go here and get this deal. Fantastic. And not necessarily about regional at that point in time. But it's something that it worked out, having the amount of Texas schools that they do. And you're right. Markets are oversold all the time. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, wow, you have a school in Dallas. Fantastic. And guess what? It could be like the 11th best thing in the city. So we talk about the LA market all the time. How many things are you battling? But overall, the stability is there. And I think it is setting up to be a good future for the Western Athletic Conference.
Yeah, I wonder what it means for, Cal Baptist and how long we stay, in Southern California. Seattle obviously is an outlier. I think you've got to be careful, at some point have plans. Does Seattle potentially join the Big Sky? Is that a better fit for Seattle? I don't know that they are. They're not. Eastern Washington is in the Big Sky on the other side of the state in Cheney. But I think even if let's say you lost those two schools, right? Let's say Cal Baptist somehow went to the Big West. I don't know that they would, and Seattle went to the Big Sky. You would still be with the expansion at 12 teams and be a solid league. And so I think they position themselves well and have a vision, and it's good for New Mexico State, who is, by the way, JJ, the senior member of the Western Athletic Conference, which is just crazy. All right, we'll hit some NFL stuff when we come back. 505-246-0610. That's how to get in. We got a few lines open for you right now. You can send me an email, jeff@610knml.com or jj@610knml.com. Watch the show on ProView Networks or listen on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long three.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go. His
Ford driving kick. Three's in the air. It's good.
Nice pass on the nice block by Hernandez Crawford.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalon's going to go and he puts it away. And Corbalon wants to put it down. Here comes Las Cruces. Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transition. It's 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan. Has that ball stolen. Jeremy Segura.
Forward dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass. Wrap around pass.
Harris. Legate. The long bomb. 3-ball.
Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
Cahola, a little jump step in the... And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround.
All right, Robert Saleh, the new head coach of the Jets. Urban Meyer, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Arthur Smith has been offered by many reports the head coaching job of the Atlanta Falcons. You get the Rams and Packers, Ravens and Bills on Saturday. You get the Browns and Chiefs, Buccaneers and Saints on Sunday. A great weekend potentially in front of you. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah's producer the radio side. Josh now flying solo on the TV side of ProView Networks. I don't know where everybody went, man. You must stink or something. They can smell it. I don't know. So oh, there's Jay Pole's little hat. I didn't see his little head. What's he doing down there? I don't want to know. I don't want to know why. It's all right. I thought he was gone. All right. You want to go to the phones? Sean, I think Sean's a happy guy. I think Sean's happy. You got your guy, right?
I did indeed. I was hoping we'd at least have a look at Jim Caldwell, but I can't complain with Saleh.
No, I think you're in a good spot right there. I told you yesterday. I think that's a great way to go. I think there were a couple of good ways to go, and I'm a big Jim Caldwell fan as well. Saleh feels like a guy who players like, who's going to bring a ton of energy. I think he's got the personality to deal with the New York media.
I think so. I think he has that backbone that Gase never had. I think he has the personality that Bowles never had. I think he's going to do well.
Yeah, I think you got a good one. I do.
So to reinforce JJ's point about Urban Meyer, do you know how many wins Chip Kelly had in the NFL?
26?
With
Was
his
it 26 or 21?
Offense? Right.
Okay.
So he got fired. He didn't do well here. What about Cliff Kingsbury? He's not doing as well as Chip Kelly did.
Yeah.
And there are games this season that Arizona, I thought, were guaranteed wins, like against the Lions.
Yep.
And Arizona just folded.
But there was a point early in the season where I think a lot of people thought Arizona was the best team in that division, right? Arizona was right there all year, and then they folded down the stretch. Is that all? Let me give you Pittsburgh, who doesn't have a college. Their coach didn't start in college. They folded down the stretch too. They went 1-5. I mean, is that because he's a bad coach? Is that because look? There's a lot of factors that go into it. I guess it's hard for me to just put that in a vacuum and say, well, he's a college coach. They folded down the stretch. He can't coach at this level. To me, it's still out. The jury's still out on Cliff Kingsbury.
I agree. The thing that just sticks with me is that he was given his ideal quarterback to run his ideal system, and it's just not producing the results that anyone really hoped that it would. I hope that changes, especially for Murray. I think he's a great quarterback. He's a hell of a player. But we spoke the Saleh thing into existence yesterday, so I want you to say it with me, Jeff. The Jets are going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
No, they're not. 5 years?
Next 5 years.
Pat Mahomes leaving the AFC?
Maybe he breaks his leg.
Saleh's going to shut him down.
All right. I'm down. Good luck to you. I'm not saying it with you.
I appreciate you, gentlemen. Yeah. Well, speak it into existence. Positive thinking, right?
All right. And if that happens, then Josh will get a Jets tattoo on his lower back.
I will get a Jets tattoo with you.
All right. I didn't say me. I said Josh.
You, gentlemen. Have a good one.
See you. But for the record, I said Josh will, not me.
That is not the most craziest thing that has been said, because if I recall, someone on this show called in and said it would be the Jaguars in that position within 4 years. And you know what? Give me the New York Jets over the Jacksonville Jaguars to get further over the next 5 seasons.
I will go the other way. I will tell you, I think over the next 5 seasons, the Jaguars have a little bit more success because I think the Bills are building something in that division. So I think the AFC South is more gettable. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good. I do. As much as I like Sam Darnold, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be better, and I do believe Urban Meyer is going to have success down there.
You got it. Jets Jaguars.
5 years from now.
All your information.
Yeah. When we're celebrating the 20th annual New Mexico Bowl, then we come back and we'll settle this conversation right after the 20th annual New Mexico Bowl. All right, 505-246-0610, 888-922-0610. That's how you can get in. And I got a bunch of emails coming in. Jeff at 610knml.com. JJ at 610knml.com. This is from Terry. He says, surprised my radio still works. I hear the governor on the radio and I start throwing things at it. I hear Rudy and again I start hurling things at it. I bet my daughter knows more about the virus than you. I wish schools had opened up in September for all kids with parental choice of virtual or in-person attendance as long as teacher safety was a priority. Didn't happen. Fred, maybe choose your words a little more carefully. Will die without Lobo baseball? After this weekend, 400,000 people have died for real from this virus. Have a good, safe weekend. Enjoy your families. It's from Terry. Yeah, Fred, don't die without Lobo baseball. Somebody said to me yesterday, 200 and something restaurants have closed in our state. And this is where I really, for me, this is where the balance comes in, and I'm struggling. And then I said, yeah, but 20-something hundred people in our state and 400,000 people damn near in our country have died. Like, it sucks that restaurants have closed, but it sucks more that people have died. And I hear the conversation, well, those of us who are here, let's make sure we're here. So where's the fine line? This is why I haven't gone to an extreme on either side of this. And I know some of you think I'm way too extreme, and some of you don't think I am enough. And JJ, you and I tend to be, while not lock stock on this, pretty much on the same course in regards to how we work with it. I think you and I both respect the virus. Both of us are pretty much staying at home. I don't want the virus. I've got a pre-existing condition. I really don't want to find out what it's like. I've lost people very, very dear to me. But I've also watched what it's done to our economy, to our mental health, to our kids. And that's why I've been saying, how do we navigate coexisting with this? And I'm not open everything up guy, but I'm not close everything down guy either. I'm really struggling with how you can tell me this group of soccer players can practice, but this group of football and basketball players can't. It makes no sense. And I think we're all looking for some consistency and being able to somehow coexist. And that's all the majority of our conversation has been based on.
And it's using the same logic from before, where you're pointing out, well, they're student athletes, they're going to put others at risk. Well, they're not in school. Like, no one's in school right now. And the amount of testing they're doing is more than you see these pro athletes doing at this point in time. And the fact that there's been zero movement on it doesn't make sense in regards to, as you said, navigating this topic.
Yeah. All right. 2460610. I got a Hall of Fame email, or a Hall of Famer emailing. You decide if it's a Hall of Fame email. When we come back, you can still get it at 2460610. I've given you my picks for the weekend. Are yours in? I've gone with the Packers, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bucks. Are you in yet?
My picks next.
Next on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 670 Sports Animal.
Rise and fire. He's fouled.
He used to coach for Del Norte. And
here's Voss all the way with the finish. He'll get the... Behind the back of the dribble. Trying to go up with the right hand. He changed hands in midair. And hot it. Sent it away. Wynn doing a really good job denying Chavez. BC hasn't got the ball. Oh, Yeku. Oh. Working against Watson. Oh, look at the spin move.
Ball's loose. DJ Bustos brings it up. Bars Tompkins, alley-oop. How about it? That was redunculous.
Turnover. Cable to the big fella might try to jam on home.
The The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
They got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
And UNLV, men tomorrow over on News Radio KKOB. What time's that start tomorrow? You got that in front of you? Over on the radio side. JJ's got the ladies today. 2:30 pregame show, 3 o'clock. Why they tip it at 3? Just out of curiosity. It just seems so odd that a Friday afternoon, that's when they want to play. I mean, I'm down with it. Don't get me wrong. It's good for you. It gives you the evening. Right?
I think that's really the whole point of it is it gives everyone the evening, to go gallivant around Las Vegas.
All right, big one in the Mountain West last night, by the way, and they're going to play on CBS tomorrow. Utah State handled San Diego State last night in Logan, beat them by double digits.
Might be pretty good then.
Yeah, and the biggest issue for San Diego State, Matt Mitchell went down, and he hurt his knee, and it looked horrible, and I think he is – whether he's the best or not, I think he is the best, but he's the most important player for San Diego State. If Matt Mitchell's injury is serious, San Diego State might be in pretty big trouble.
They're the third best team in the conference if Matt Mitchell's not there. He's their glue. He's their stability. He makes plays on both ends of the floor. We saw him have a huge breakout performance. Unfortunately, they lost. Oh, what game was that? Am I forgetting?
BYU.
Yeah, the BYU game. So, he showed that he has that scoring prowess, but he's just so good in every area of the basketball game. And if he is out the rest of the season, if they can't get him back, Utah State and Boise State better than San Diego State then.
Second conference loss for the Aztecs. Utah State and Boise State are still undefeated in that league, and they'll play. Aztecs and Aggies play on CBS Channel 13 tomorrow. All right, Grady sent me this email going out on a limb. He says, WAC conference rescuers of the OD and the AM. I hate when I find myself in awkward situations, and yet here I am. Here the bleep I am. I agree with Boomer Esiason. Ugh, that hurt. I'm picking the Ravens over the Bills. The Bills are too new to this whole situation, and I think all the hype on Josh Allen love, some deserved, a lot not, is going to be too much of a distraction. Also, the ex-TV guy's logic holds true in my opinion. When everyone is going one way, go the other. I like the Packers, who I think are a bit underrated still. Chiefs and Bills have been taking up a lot of the oxygen and airtime this season. as well as Chiefs big, I know, going out on a limb with that pick, and the Bucks. JJ spelled out the case for the Bucks perfectly this morning. I have nothing more to add. I really like the WAC's recent moves, a great example of working with what you have and not trying to be what you're not. Fingers crossed it works well into FBS football designations. Like I said before, I think all of us want high school sports back for very personal reasons in my house and community, as well as for the kids and community statewide. I just hope whatever plan is put in place, it takes into account direct resource inequities, because while resources might not be equal, the risk and potential damage to kids is. Getting my snacks ready for a strong sports weekend. Grady in Santa Fe by way of the Village by the river. All right, so he's on. See, I don't think the Bills are all that new to this, actually. You know, usually we see these franchises progress. They were in the playoffs last year. I think they take it another round this year. I think they lost in the first round last year. This is kind of those step ladders that I think they take. And I mean, I like the Bills. I could be wrong. I think this is, to me, as good of a toss-up. Because I agree with you on the Ravens with the experience. I think the Bills are really good.
I'm not in on that train in terms of the experience, because I don't think they're totally different when we're talking about who's conducting it. Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I don't really look at that. His rookie season, while made the playoffs, the offense wasn't catered to him. It was an experience of being there, but I look at it, last year, similarly to Buffalo. That they're pretty much at the same spot quarterback-wise when it comes to playing in the postseason. I'm on the Baltimore Ravens. I am jumping off the Bills Mafia bandwagon onto that Baltimore train. I'm in it. I'm going the other way. I think defensively it's going to be a good contest for that Ravens defense attacking Josh Allen. Yes, Josh Allen is a playmaker, and maybe a better playmaker given the fact he throws a better football than Lamar Jackson. But I'm going with the Ravens in a tight one, like 27-24 Baltimore winning that contest. I got Green Bay 24-10 over the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams can slow them down, but I just don't see that offense scoring against that Packers defense. Give me, Tampa Bay. I'll go 35-28 over the Saints. I think it does get a little wild and up-tempo on that one. And I think Kansas City does beat Cleveland. Yes, we doubted Cleveland last time. We ate our crow. Respect. It's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs that you're dealing with, not busted Ben.
Yeah, busted Ben and a sliding Steelers. I mean, they finished the season 1-5. TJ asked me yesterday. I was on with him for an hour yesterday, and he asked me, what happened to the Steelers? And I just don't think the Steelers were that good to begin with. I think they were fortunate. They started out 11-0, but did you ever think that, wow, that's a really, really good team? We thought they were good. But did you ever think that was an undefeated good team, even though they were undefeated?
What happened was the defense fell apart.
Well, the defense fell apart, the offensive line fell apart, and they can't run the football.
Yeah, it was – when you start breaking it down and you look back on the fact, it's – they won said games, but there wasn't a game in there and go, that's why the Steelers are good. When they beat the Broncos and they were playing like Jeff Driscoll at quarterback and things like that, you handle your business, but ultimately it gets to a point where, all right, when you need to take that next step, they couldn't. They started getting injured defensively. You saw the deficiencies of that offensive line. They could never run the football. And the fact that, you're asking a dude that just missed last year doing an elbow injury to throw the ball 65 times a game ain't quite working.
It's insanity. No, it's insanity. Freddie sent me an email. Do you know if the NMA is allowing esports teams to compete? I don't know. Do you know that?
I don't.
I'm assuming you can do that from your bedroom, right? From your basement, from your living room. I mean, I don't know. I can find that out, but I don't know where we are. All right, there's going to be a lot more conversation, and this will go deep on who can practice, who can't, who can play, who can't, who's getting favorable treatment, who's not, and why all this is. I just, JJ, my gut tells me at some point people are going to lose their mind, and I'm going to reemphasize, I am not saying United shouldn't be able to practice. I'm saying they shouldn't be the only ones. They should be. They should be. But I think as much as you like to, and you're right, when you tell me that there's a fervent, an excited, passionate fan base for United. To me, there's a more deep-seated, larger and populous fan base for the Lobos
what
and
my point
Aggies.
was in that is it's only going to cause more division. It had nothing to do with bigger fan base deserves one or the other, but it's gonna keep boiling and battling, and we already see people saying "Somos what now?" Like, what is this whole thing about?
Somos dividos.
Yeah, it's while United can't make, like, the franchise itself, can't say, yeah, you can go practice. They have people, it seems like, in influential positions that should be helping everyone else get to that point. Right?
And that's where I think a lot of people are getting upset. But we'll see. We'll watch this thing play out, and hopefully, I hope it works for everyone. I want United to play. I want Lobos should be able to practice at home. I mean, dare I say, play games in empty arenas at home, as the Aggies should. All right, say thank you to Jeff Hurd. He was the commissioner of the WAC. If you didn't hear that, we'll put it up on our social media platforms, correct? But a good conversation with WAC Commissioner Jeff Hurd today. Micah, good work. Josh, great week. You worked your butt off by yourself all week. I mean, J-Pole shows up to ride shotgun for a little while with his look at my ticket. But no, it's good to see J-Pole back. JJ, enjoy the weekend.
Thanks.
You as well.
Thanks.
Jim Rome Show is next. Dan Patrick Show's after that. Sports Bar will follow Lobo women's basketball. JJ takes over at 2:30 with Lobo women's basketball against UNLV. Make sure you give him a listen. We're back with award-winning radio. We will be working on Monday. I know it's MLK Day. Enjoy that, but enjoy it with us because we will be here on Monday. Be good to each other. Have a great weekend. Please be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Played over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it.
They're really...
Oliveris. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam.
Oh!
Malik Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
It's good.
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did!
Malik
Oh my
Barton
God!
bakes it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and somehow found a way to get it in.
Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.